all the way back in May of 2020, right in the middle of lockdown, I purchased the 6x3 metre polytunnel by BIRCHTREE. And now that it's been a little over 3 years, I wanted to do a bit of a review today on just how it's held up. And I want to show you what you can expect from a polytunnel like this 3 years later. Now, you may have watched my video a few months back on the smaller 4x3 metre polytunnel by Outsunny, and you may be wondering, well, why are you doing another polytunnel review? Well, firstly, this is a review 3 years later showing you how it's held up in that time, and secondly, this polytunnel is quite a bit different from the other one. But before we get into this video, remember to smash that like button if this review was helpful for you. Now, with all that being said, let's get right into this polytunnel review. Okay, so I'd just like to start off by saying that this polytunnel has provided us with a lot of really good harvests over the last 3 years. This is now its 4th season, and the past 3 seasons it really has given us some good harvests, and this year it's full of tomatoes. I've built a raised bed all the way around it. So we'll start off with the quality of the cover, the plastic. Now that seems to have held up really well actually. Now obviously age related things like holes, and there are some cuts in it and stuff in places, but the seams here have held up really well. They're actually very strong on this polytunnel. On the Outsunny polytunnel they're a little bit less strong, and they do come apart very easily. I don't think the stitching's anywhere near as good on the other polytunnel. And obviously it's the checkered squares, the checkered polythene, and these haven't seemed to have fallen through yet. It's very typical of these types of polytunnel for these little plastic squares to come out. Obviously I have been cleaning this every year. You do get algae on it. I like to go over with some J's fluid and with a brush every year. And I highly recommend getting some anti-hotspot tape, because when this metal bar here touches the plastic, it will degrade it much faster. And in fact, these support bars here have been touching the plastic, and you can see there where it started to degrade. So that would have been an issue here where it's much tighter especially. So yeah, get some anti-hotspot tape on there, even on a cheaper polytunnel like this. Now the straps that attach the cover to the frame are much better than the ones on the Outsunny polytunnel. Much stronger, and actually even now, over 3 years later, they're still really strong. Still held up really nice. The ones on the Outsunny polytunnel, they just come off in your hand and they're absolutely useless, to be honest. And you only end up with a few of them as well. There's lots and lots of straps on these ones, so that's really good. And I think this is a good indicator of how poor the quality of the plastic on the cheaper Outsunny polytunnel is. Look at that, the strap doesn't even properly connect to the plastic. It's actually, the plastic's ripping, so that's just a good indicator. On the BIRCHTREE polytunnel, the strap is well and truly firmly secured to the cover still. It hasn't come away from the plastic. And by the way, I will leave a card somewhere up here towards the end of this video if you'd like to go and give the Outsunny 4x3 metre polytunnel review a watch after you've watched this video. Now the frame itself, really good quality actually, very sturdy. Of course it has these extra support bars here, giving it extra strength. It has these here, and it has bars here. So yeah, really sturdy with the bars. No visible signs of rust. There is some on the bolt there, but the actual frame itself seems to be rust free. Now this is where things get a little bit less positive. Obviously there's always negatives with things like this, The zips on the doors, yeah, haven't held up very well at all, actually, to be honest. Some of them have broken. This one's still working, but one of them has started to go a little bit. And as for these clips that hold up the door when you roll it up and hold it up here, yeah, clips are just falling apart. I've actually been holding it up with a string, a little bit of a temporary feature. But once this cover has lived its life and I do replace it, which will probably be another year or two, I'm going to put a new cover on this. I'm going to put a clear polythene one, and I'm probably going to build a door here. So that's what my plan is for that. But yeah, these straps, don't expect them to last any longer than 2 or 3 years before they start snapping off. And yeah, they just break off in your hand like that. Because of the exposure to the sunlight, they don't last very long. Now there are a lot of these vents all up and down the side of this polytunnel. There's 6 on each side, but it's a similar story with these straps. Just like with the clips, the straps have also started to degrade and come off. Like that one's come off and there's part of that missing, so I can't actually hold that one up properly. And same here with this one. There, it's come off there. I'm actually using this handle here to hold this one up. Yeah. So you don't expect them to last very long, but positive side, this mesh window here has held up really well, and I did see quite a few people making comments about this, saying that they do degrade and fall through, but I found that these have held up pretty well actually. Now, as with most polytunnels like this, cheap budget polytunnels, they can blow away in the wind very, very easily. So you do have to secure them down pretty well. Not too bad for us, as we do have the trees sheltering us. You do need to provide some sort of ground support. I've not actually done that. Some people would use these bars, they'd put stakes in the ground or something like that, or they'd hammer these rods into the ground to secure it to the ground so it doesn't blow away. But what I did is I buried the overhanging plastic into the ground all the way around. Now, I can't remember exactly how much there was, but there was enough to bury, probably around 8 inches to bury the plastic. So there was plenty of overhanging plastic to bury. Unlike the Outsunny Polytunnel, there was only like 3 inches of overhanging plastic on that one. This one, there was plenty to bury. Burying the plastic is it's a traditional way of securing polytunnels like this. Compared to the Outsunny Polytunnel over there, this cover does seem much stronger. Now, the polytunnel cover over there on the cheaper Outsunny Polytunnel, it just feels as though you could stick your finger through the plastic. And this one here just feels much stronger. Now, I've not actually put my finger through the other one, but it just feels much more tough. You know, you can bang it around. You're not going to put your fingers through it. You see, with the Outsunny one, the plastic just feels much thinner, to be honest. Now, am I still happy with this polytunnel a little over 3 years later? Yes, this polytunnel has provided us with a lot of harvests over the last few years, and it's really served its purpose. It's done really well, and I expect I'll probably get another couple of seasons out of this before I have to replace the cover once again, in which case I'll probably put my own cover on there. Now, one of these is going to set you back. At the time of recording this video, I think they're around £239. It was a little bit cheaper than that 3 years ago, but obviously inflation and all that. And for £239, you can't really complain either. I mean, that is very cheap for something this size. I mean, look, it's absolutely massive, and you can get a lot of tomato plants. Well, if you wanted to grow tomato plants, you know, I'm growing a lot of tomato plants. You You can get a lot of plants in here and a lot of productivity in something like this, and for possibly many years of harvest, you know, it's very cheap. It's not like your big industrial commercial polytunnels which will last for decades, but you know, for the money you can't really go wrong, to be honest. You know, the frame itself and the plastic itself is, you know, it's cheap quality. It's not like these big commercial polytunnels, but you know, value for money, you can't complain. Relatively easy to put together. I know it was 3 years ago, but from what I remember, it was quite easy. Didn't take too long, a couple of hours. So that is what you can expect from a polytunnel like this 3 years later. I know a lot of people have left reviews, but not many people have left a review and given their thoughts on it quite some time later. Like, it's been 3 years. So I just wanted to let you know what you can expect. And if you'd like to check out my 4x3 metre polytunnel review by Outsunny, which I did a few months ago, you can do so by clicking here. Remember, if you like the video, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you can see when I upload new content just like this. I hope to see you in the next one. Happy gardening and stay safe.